So here's another big clump of bands I've been in. I spent a lot of time hanging out with cats from UMA, to the point where people actually thought I was in UMA, even though I wasn't. First off, Macrofuser, which I did with Dan Quinlan and Spence and Sam. Kind of like a weird... It was all Dan's original stuff, but it was very, Smashing Pumpkins and that type of weird Nine Inch Nails-y vibe. And that turned into No Hype, which is where I did the studio recording up in Portland with Dan and Chris, and it was pretty sick. Chris Mayont is an incredible drummer. That was the first time I got to play with him, and we've since collaborated on some things. The Perpetual Motion Machine with Willow Goodine, Harley Smith, and Paul Polini. Real experimental, crazy stuff. The Monty Burns Effect with Tim Gaines and Jeremy Sherland. Screen Pillows with Tyler Quist and Andy Tukey, and more experimental stuff. The Second Child, which I'm actually back in again. That original lineup, though, when I joined, had Jason Clark, Aaron Becker, and Tony DeFonso. And then we ended up later this year having Sam Yodick, and now Ian McDonald. I believe McDonald's his last name. I hope I have that right. Then I joined Brian Berge in InDepth Electronics, which is who I played with the first time at Fantasia, 2006 or something like that. The NRJs, which was me, John Bean, and Ryan Weeks. Two original tunes to our name. Mr. Fancy Pants with Gabe Turner, doing some noise with him. Downs, Trott, and Wilson, that's Andy Downs, Carlton Trott, and me, doing some of Andy's original stuff and some metal covers. And one time jam with Luke Goodine, Tyler Quist, and me, doing kind of like swanky jazz stuff. A very important person to this musical career of mine is a guy named Joel Kaplan, who I've probably played in more bands with than anyone else other than BJ. The two-man bands I've been in with Joel were a band called Dead Hole, which was like a straight-up satanic black metal band, and death metal scum band, I should say. That had Trash on lead vocals, Joel on bass, me on guitar, and BJ on drums, which then was replaced by Jason LeBlanc, was then replaced by Jim Ross, and finished that lineup up. And the Quasi-Men, who I was in for 8 years, that also in the very tail end ended Jake Freeman on drums after James was gone. That was more of like a surf horror rock type of band. Then we have bands that were put in kind of like the style of what we call barn style, which is very drug-oriented stuff. Of the Chorus Eating Kings, which is me and Joel. Elm Street Collective, which is any of the Spooky Kids and Joel and I. Richard Speck and the Specktones, which was recorded in Winthrop Street. Kind of like a just ridiculous fucking 4-track type of band. The Windsor House, which was any of the Spooky Kids and Joel and I type recordings out in Windsor. The Grim Horror Band, which involved Ken Hollowell, Joel Kaplan, me, and Grim Horror on lead vocals. And the Water Street Ensemble, which is me and Joel and Dan, when we lived on Water Street in Hollowell. Also, very important, that Joel influences Suicide Beast, which is work that I did with me and my friend Suicide, Chris Fuller, who ended up actually dying a couple of years back, right before BJ, and Janzig, which is a solo project of mine. We also did PCP Shower, which is me and BJ and Joel doing like acid bath type of stuff, and Butt Pussy, which is our take on Anal Cunt. But the big thing is, once the studio came into full bore here, started working intensely, many one-off bands were recorded. For instance, Blue Papered by Ghosts, the Good Time Family Band, the KV Gun Club, the Random Packs, the Backyard Cthulhu's, PCP and the Summoners, Born Deformed, the Bad Ideas, the Basement Creeps, Wow, What the Hell, the Outlasters, the Ready Set Stops, and Enter the Dragon. The Ready Set Stops is with Dan, which is pretty cool. And Enter the Dragon was me, Joel, and Cammy. So that's another chunk, and yet there is still one more chunk to go. Okay.